Now I face out, I hold out, I reach out to the truth. All my life seeking the seas of the whole moment till now break away.
Hello and welcome to my channel. So I originally filmed this all as one video, but it was super long, so I've decided to split it up per site. I didn't originally intend for it to basically be a UX review of the website and more so meant to talk about my most used options for official sources of Asian comics, but UX design is one of my passions, so it ended up being that way. The intro and outro for each video will be the same, and there will be timestamps below in the description so you can skip around if you'd like. Alright, let's get started. So today's video, we're going to be talking about what I've dubbed the big three of BL, which is Lezen, Tappytoon, and Tapas. I'm aware that there's other sites, but I don't use them, so you're not going to hear about those in this video because I don't know anything about them. So, the categories I'll be using to not rate, but just go over are pros and cons, obviously, the library, the sales, if there's a membership, and details on that. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go over. Next up is Tappytoon. So Tappytoon is another website that I think is really good for BL. Well, for reading manhwa in general. So let's start with the pros. The first pro is that you can purchase multiple chapters at a time. With Lezen, for whatever reason, you can only unlock every single chapter available or one, and that's also in the app. I don't think you can toggle any less than one or all, which is kind of annoying. But you can purchase like 5. Let's see. Let me find something I haven't. Here we go. You can do binge unlock, or I guess binge with bulk unlock rather. And well, look at that. The site's made me a liar. I think actually what they've done is they've removed that option from the main website and put it only on the app. Because I know you can buy like 5 to 10 at a time. You don't have to buy every single one. Let me make sure. Yep, so instead of, they used to have this option on the site, but they've moved it strictly to the app, which is really annoying. I don't know why they're like pushing the app over the website. I don't understand what difference it makes for users. You're not paying for the app. But you can do single chapter, next 5 chapters, or unlock the remaining, and you get a slight discount when you buy in bulk. So that's nice for when you're reading something and you want to buy multiple chapters at a time instead of stopping to pay each chapter. You're like getting really into it and you don't want to be interrupted by having to pay. So that's really nice. And like I mentioned in the previous section, they do let you see the next chapter preview. So, and sometimes up to 2. Sometimes I've seen even 3, but that was mostly because more than one chapter was being uploaded on the same day. But you can see that the next 2 chapters are on schedule to be uploaded. So clearly the author has already uploaded them to the site because there's thumbnails for them. So that's really cool. I really like that. And something I've noticed with Tappytoon is that the majority of stuff on the site is like high quality art and well written stories, probably by like experienced authors. I've noticed with the other 2 sites, and Tapas is its own whole monster, so we'll talk about that then. But with Lezen specifically, I've noticed that there are sometimes kind of low quality manhwa, and like it's not bad low quality, it's just like the art is clearly amateurish, the story might be kind of amateurish, but as if like maybe it's like the author's first time creating a story and uploading it professionally. But for the most part, I don't see that on Tappytoon. I don't see that at all. It's mostly very high quality stories with very nice art you generally don't encounter too much of low quality stuff on Tappytoon, which is really good because you're paying for stuff. You want it to be high quality. You don't want low quality stuff that you've spent your money on. That's silly. So those are really the only pros to Tappytoon. Not to say that like there's nothing else good about this site. Like there's plenty good about the site, but those are the pros in comparison to the other two sites rather, that I want to go over. I mean, it's a very usable site, but I have lots of cons about this site. So the first con is that you can't see the dates for individual chapters that were released. And, I was bitching about that with Lezen about how you can. Here you cannot. Like, it just shows that I've unlocked them, but it doesn't tell you what date they came out. So the only place to see when the last time it updated was here, which is silly because it's like, well, why can't I see that within the story itself when it makes sense that you'd be able to see it on the page that has more detail? I don't know, it seems really bad UX. But it's not a huge issue. It doesn't change the usability of the site. I just like having that information. So let's get into some of my biggest gripes with this site. For whatever reason, they choose to have a modal pop up when you click on to get all the information, and instead of just making this, a modal that's large enough for you to see, because it is a pop-up, why not just make it large enough for you to see? They have it as this tiny little rectangle in the center of the screen, and so you can't even see the full description. You have to hit see more. Instead of just having a scroll bar, it has to have a toggle. And there are tags, which is nice. It does allow you to go to other stuff with the same tag. But you can see the author, which it says Dalpisua Canibs, and with Lezen, it'll tell you individually the writer, the author, and the creator, as in like if it was a light novel, the original creator of it. Am I supposed to assume there's a certain order to these, or all these three, they created this manhwa? There's no information, so I don't know why they do that. But the worst part is, unlike with Lezen, this is not clickable. You cannot see what else this author has done. Okay, here's an example. So this is Cherry Blossoms After Winter. This is actually the sequel to Cherry Blossoms, I guess. I don't know. I read it, but it was a long time ago. I'm probably gonna have to reread it. Very popular manga. This is a sequel, meaning that this author obviously created something else. Where can you see that? You can't see it even if you click through the people who read this also oh, there it is. Well, actually, no, this is just the mature version. It's not even the previous story. So what you have to do is manually search. And that's how you find the previous one. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was called the same thing, actually, which is even worse. It was called the same thing, but it's just the season 3 and 4 were mature, so it's a separate story. These are by the same author. Yet, okay, now I'm seeing that it was at the end. Actually, no. Look at that. I refresh the page, and now it doesn't even suggest the other one. So you see, it's a grab bag if it'll even suggest the same thing by the same author. It's ridiculous. You should be able to search by author, especially if you know there's something else on this site that this author has created. Another thing is if there is a release of something, and this will be especially heinous on the app because the app does not allow any mature content. If there is a non-mature that pops up for you as a suggested, but it actually has mature version, you won't know that. You're gonna have to manually search for it because there's nothing connecting them together. And if you rather, and the non-mature version is never like written to be non-mature. It's mature, and they've censored all the mature parts. So you're literally losing chunks of the story. So it's best, if you're not a child, to read the mature version, because then you're getting the full story. Because you're paying the same amount, so you might as well get the version that has the full story. So you like, it's strange. You sometimes run into the issue where a new story pops up and you're like, "Ooh, that seems cool," and you start reading it, and then you're like, "Wait a minute," and then you search and you find there's actually mature versions. So the payments do not transfer over. So if you're buying the non-mature version and the chapters are cut short because they had to remove mature parts, you have to repurchase that chapter in the mature version. There is no crossover. They are completely separate entities. So the searchability and connectivity of stories on the site is extremely lacking, and I don't know why they've done it that way, because they give you the option to see stuff that's similar to what you're about to read, but they don't even suggest the actual thing that's actually connected to the story. Next thing is that there's no right-clicking on links. These are all links, as you can see with the mouse turning into a hand. These are all links. You cannot right-click anything. And the reason that's an issue for me is that I'll show you my top tab here. Look at that. Look at all those. Yeah, I open a million tabs so I can just switch between them when I'm reading stuff rather than having to reload the site every time. And I started doing that and realized, oh my god, why was I reading them individually each time, reloading the site every time before? Because with Lezen, I have a million stuff, so that was a pain as I started to read more and more. So that's a huge annoyance to me. The only right-clickable link is the banner. So basically, what I have to do is, if I want to have multiple instances of the website open, I have to right-click the banner, which takes me to the home page, and then, start over from there, and then just have the different instances open from there. It's ridiculous. Just let me right-click these links. I don't understand why it's disabled on the site. So I don't save the thumbnails? I don't know, I can still screenshot it. The next con I have with Tappytoon is, for example, you see how there's this scrolly bar thing, customized scrolly bar thing? I don't know why they customized the scroll bar, but it's dumb because it disappears while you're scrolling, which is inconvenient. If you want a fast scroll, you can't. You have to click on the scrolly thing and then scroll. I don't know why they customized it. Like, what purpose was there to customizing it? So, I hate that. Next con. Oh, I told you I had a bunch of these. I do love this site. It's just there's a lot to be desired about it. So, I like using this format to look at my library. This is the unlocked tab. The main one is my list, and there's unlocked, and it has nice big thumbnails. It shows how many out of how many you have unlocked. It even has a little label that's in a different color from the ones where you don't have them fully unlocked to let you know, yes, I've unlocked all of these. So the problem with this view is that it'll show everything that you've ever unlocked. So if you want to use this as your page for reading stuff that you're currently reading, you'll have to sift through all the stuff that you are not even reading anymore, you've unsubscribed from. All of them will be here. You cannot edit this page to remove things. This is basically your purchase tab, which is nice that it does have all of your stuff that you've ever purchased on a site in one place. That is really nice. However, I would like to be able to hide stuff that I'm not currently reading, because obviously with this page being, nice and pretty, and then having all the unlocked and all that stuff, it makes sense that you'd want to, read from this page. Use this page as your figuring out what's left to read, because you can see, oh, I haven't read this chapter, I haven't read this chapter, I haven't read this chapter. You can see what's there to read, and you can sort it by recently unlocked, recently updated. So like all the stuff that's updated that day, you can see it. It'll be at the top, which is convenient. But it'll still be every single thing that you've ever unlocked. You can't customize this page to remove stuff that maybe you started reading and then you hated. Too bad. If it updates, it's gonna always be on this page. So I don't know. I know it's meant to be like your purchases page, but it's just weird that you can't customize it at all to at least hide things. And along with that, it doesn't have, none of the pages tell you how many stuff you have in your library. So, with this, it has continuous scroll, it doesn't have pages. You can't tell at a glance what your number of pages are, number of titles are. So that's an annoyance. Next, one of my most irritating things is that it never saves your sort order. So obviously I don't want to have it at the very top and then I have to scroll to the bottom to see the latest chapter, because what if I'm on chapter 122? So obviously the sort method you would want would be to have the latest on top. It almost never saves this setting. It's like the cookies or the session or whatever, they do not save that data. So you have to sort this every single time. You go to the library and unlocked. See? You literally saw that I was on recently updated. I have to update that again because I left the page. It does not save any of your sort options. So unlike what I do with Lezen, where I just have a bazillion different stories open and I, go to the different tabs and read them from there, because you can't do that here unless you do what I do, which is right click the banner to get to open a new session of the page. You basically have to go in, read the chapter, and then when you're done, you go back to your library, go back to, if you read from here, fine, or unlocked, and then resort it again, and then go to the next thing you want to read. It's tedious. And the final con that I have is that the site does not have any uncensored manhwa. Like even newly released stuff won't be uncensored. I don't know what it is. I don't know what law it is that prevents them from releasing uncensored stuff. So that's a shame. I really wish there's a lot of stories on here that I wish could be uncensored, but they are not. Same with Tapas. There was one story that was released on Tapas, and I read the entire thing there, and then it got released on Lezen, and I was happy because I really liked the story, but I was also upset because the version they released on Lezen is uncensored. But I just finished reading the story like a week ago, and it was a long story. There was no way I was rereading it. Plus, I'd have to pay for it again. There was no way I was rereading it on Lezen, even if it was uncensored. So that was a shame. Yeah, that's the end of the long list of cons. These are cons that do detract from the user experience of the site, but overall, they don't deter me from using the site. I'm just aware of them. Like, it's a pain in the ass, but I'm just aware of them. I do still like the site quite a bit. So next category is the library. The library is very large. Like, it's a huge library of stuff. And why is it not showing? Okay, here we go. Yeah, you could read stuff on here for ages, and the majority of the stuff, it's a very large library, and a lot of the stories have a lot of chapters, so you'll spend a lot of time reading on here. I think this site is actually best suited to people who like isekai, into medieval worlds, where like the heroine goes into the story of a novel she was reading and she knows the future, so she tries to change it because she tends to be the villainess who's destined to die. That's a very common genre on here, and I'm those are like a guilty pleasure of mine. I read so many of those, and a lot of straight romance with either modern day or like those isekai worlds where it's kind of medieval-esque, whatever. That's the majority of the stuff on here. There's a lot of BL. The majority of the stuff on here is straight romance, which, is cool if you want to take a break from BL. Next category is sales. There aren't very many sales on this site. I honestly can't tell you the last time I noticed a sale, so I don't have much to say about that. The sales are not very frequent, so that's kind of almost a con as well, but what are you gonna do? Next category is membership. They do have a membership. I did sign up for a Tappytoon club. You sign up for it exclusively on the app for some reason, and you can only cancel it on the app as well. I don't understand the purpose of that. If you have a website, I feel like you should have full functionality on the website for everything. I don't know why you would have to go to the app to do anything. But you get 4,400 points a month, which each chapter is 300. There are few rare instances where there'll be 400, but in general, each chapter is 300. So this is pretty good. This is about 14 chapters. I don't know why they didn't just make it evenly 4,500, so it evenly you can get an even number of chapters. Because then that would be divisible by 300. But yeah, you get 14 chapters for included in the $4.99, which is pretty good. So yeah, that's my overall assessment of this website. Once again, the cons do not mean I hate the site. I criticize the things I love and wish for them to do better. I hope this video was helpful in some way and you are now armed with better knowledge on what options are out there for official Asian, mostly Korean, comics. Okay, thanks, bye!